Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Modern Day Apocrypha. I'm Tony.
And I am Nick.
And we explore all sorts of weird topics that are either hard to explore, taboo, or try to put a fresh perspective on a topic that you might not have thought about before.
Yeah, absolutely. All in the effort of being more open-minded and just hoping that everybody can come together.
You know how you bring people together, Nick? Money.
Yeah. Unfortunately, for some of the people that we might talk about, you're right, Tony. Today we're talking about the lottery.
And how to win it.
So skip to about 57 minutes and 34 seconds, and you'll find Tony's secrets. Come back here when you're done.
Yeah, I don't have any secrets.
No?
Well, not about how to win the lottery. If I had secrets about how to win the lottery, I would have won the lottery.
Oh, that's fair.
However, maybe by the time this airs, I will have some secrets because in honor of today's episode, I went and bought us some tickets, bro.
So here's the question. As of the recording today, we were looking at a $700 and something million. I think it was the Powerball, and then the Mega Millions was.
So I think the Powerball got grabbed because it was down to 20 today.
Exactly, 20 million. So that's what I was trying to get at, was making sure that you picked the right one. That was still the mega jackpot.
I got the 970.
There we go, baby.
Yep.
Just shy of $1 billion.
Yeah, after tomorrow when the drawing is and we inevitably don't win, nothing will have changed.
Wow, Tony. I feel like you should instill a little bit more confidence for the people that are jumping to the 57-minute mark.
No,
secrets.
They already jumped.
That's a good.
They're coming back here to realize that they
back.
were duped. Yep.
I wonder what's going to happen at 57 minutes.
I don't know.
We'll have to go explore.
Yeah, I will have long forgotten about it by then, and those that jumped will have a fun laugh or disappointment.
Well, before we get too far into this, Tony, this tea, rosehip, hibiscus, and cherry. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That is a true delight.
I was at the International Market a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And they've got so much different tea than you find at Kroger. And that one caught my eye. And I was like, man, I don't know what rose hip and hibiscus taste like, but maybe cherry will mask it. Let's try it out. Turns out to be not NyQuil-y.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, again, thanks everybody for jumping in with us. If you couldn't tell already, the lotteries are just ridiculous, both of them, Mega Millions and the Powerball. And I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who drives past it. And anytime it's over like 300 million, I just have this little, like salivating result just culminate in my mouth, and my brain starts to wander. I'm driving down the road, and next thing I know, I'm plowing into a semi-truck because I'm so excited about that lottery that I don't have.
That really happened?
No.
Okay, shit.
But I do daydream about that sometimes when I'm driving, and that's what I was trying to get at. But to be quite honest with you, Tony, I've only played the lottery a handful of times.
Same. And it's only been in the past... Well, shit. I think the first time I actually played the lottery was a couple of weeks ago when I was with you.
The very first time.
I think so. I think that was the very first time.
Well, I'm glad that I could have your lottery virginity.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience.
It was actually, Tony. Tony made a friend. Might have been the local crack dealer. Not sure.
He was something.
But we were definitely not in like the nicest part of town. But, no worries. We're just enjoying a good time. Just trying to, we had just gotten done with getting some lunch. And we walk over to this little gas station just, I don't know, two doors down. And while we're waiting in line, Tony, why don't you tell us what that experience was? You had the firsthand
So I'll bring you to the end, and then I'll take you through the whole experience. Okay. The end was we had a 15-minute conversation, and in that 15 minutes, I probably understood 6 to 7 words. And I was trying to be so kind to this man, but he was just mumbling and slurring, but he was having a great time. And then I was like, man, I can't hear you. And so he pulls down his mask to try to talk to me.
Right in your face, leans in real close.
which didn't bother me. I'm not weirded out by that. Maybe I should be. But I still couldn't understand him. And at the end of it, you know, we fist bumped and he moved on his way. And I looked over at Nick and we kind of exchanged what the fuck glances at each other and then bought lottery tickets. So buying lottery tickets will always be, in my mind, associated with what the fuck experience.
Oh, 100%. And this guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was talking about crack cocaine, right?
Yeah, I think those are two of the words I heard. Yeah. And like, oh, this ain't crack cocaine. And I was like, what did you just say? What's the rest of this conversation? I don't understand you, man.
I couldn't hear the rest of the sentence, but that is the only words that were clear that came out of his mouth over the course of that whole interaction.
I was like, dude, I hope you have a great day. Well, and to paint the picture a little bit better, he was buying a very tall, like, what is it? One of those 40-ounce $2 beers.
Yeah, tall boy.
And put it in a paper bag and walking outside. I was like, well, have a good day, bro.
And the whole transaction he had to buy that one beer was about 8 minutes.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. But yeah, made my first lottery experience an interesting experience.
Oh, for sure.
It's good times.
Well, everybody, Tony and I did talk about this, and we would continue doing the podcast even if we won. So I won't let you guys know the outcome of Tony's lottery adventures. But we're still here.
Yes, we are. You know how the lottery started?
No, tell me actually.
Well, in my prep for this episode, I found that the first recorded signs of any type of lottery were in the Han Dynasty in China.
Whoa.
Which was like 205 to 187 BC. And so they expect or found that it funded major government projects like the Great Wall.
Interesting. So they used it for essentially the exact same purpose. Like the goal of the lottery really hasn't changed from its origins.
As I saw every time throughout history, for the most part, it's the same thing. That it was, they would get, you know, a percentage of it would go to the government or the group of people. Maybe it was the city that was trying to build up fortifications or pay for something. And then the rest would go to a winner. And I think it wasn't until like the 15th century when they actually did, when the prize was money. Prior to that, like back in Roman times, they would have these almost like elite dinner parties and everyone would get their lottery ticket. It was more of a raffle than it was a lottery. And everyone would leave with something, but all the things wouldn't be equal value. So the winner would still get the coolest shit, but everyone would still leave with something. And it was usually like expensive dinner plating and stuff like that.
That's really interesting. So did you get any sense of how global and far-reaching the concept of a lottery is? Like, is this in 80% of countries, or?
I think it's something that comes along with a certain level of civilization. Because when you get enough people organized together, well, how do we get X project done that we want done? Well, if you go around with a hat and say, everyone put in $2, people aren't going to want to do it. But if you say, hey, everyone put in $2 and you might win this thing, but there's also this good cause that part of the money is going to go to build this thing. So even if you're not the winner, you still win by the project getting completed. Oh, shit, $2. There you go. And it's easier. It's, how did they put it? Here it is. Was seen as a painless form of taxation.
Mm-hmm.
I would like my taxes to look like that, where I have a chance to, you know, be a billionaire.
You're happy to separate from your money and
oh,
like,
hell yeah.
Oh, and also we don't get invaded by Mongolia. Say no more, fam.
Yep, exactly.
Built that wall.
So I thought that was interesting on watching it for the last several thousand years. Lottery's been around in some form or another.
And so I assume that the general sentiment is about the same that it is here. Like, people play it. It's fun. It's a form of entertainment for some. For others, it's maybe hopes to go from rags to riches. And the government's just grateful that it's building the wall.
Why
didn't Donald Trump do this?
Shit. Hey guys, I'm going to run a lottery and I'm going to build my wall with the lottery money and somebody is going to...
Oh my gosh. I would.
There's got to be laws that you can't. I don't know. Fuck, maybe we should do a lottery. So going into that, the next thing I was going to bring up was that's what racketeering is illegal lottery. And the numbers was that it was 1 to 600 is what you could win, but 1 to 1,000 was actually the numbers they were pulling in. So the margin that they could make on that was absolutely insane.
It's 40%.
Yeah. On absolutely everything. I don't care what your bet is. I don't pick your number, pick your whatever when you go to a bookie and they take whatever, they're making 40% on that.
Yeah, the only catch is you've got to make sure that you've got enough buffer in the beginning to build up your momentum, because if all of a sudden you put all your money in there and somebody wins the jackpot on the first round, going back to the drawing board.
That's what I'm saying is the jackpot is at 600.
Oh, I see.
Of the
I thought
1,000.
you meant the numbers that they can draw from.
No.
Gotcha.
So when you hear all of these terms on all of the gambling movies, the house always wins. That's how. It's because the numbers work out so that whatever that margin is, even if people are winning the jackpots, they're still getting that margin or that percentage. So you can have crazy, obnoxious, huge casinos and stuff.
It's funny that 40% number. And when did you say that was from? I'm sorry.
Fuck. It was in my research from today. And I think that was more on the illegal racketeering rings and the numbers that they would run and how much money they could make.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that number itself is a problem?
I don't know.
Does that seem like a scam or like what? I'm not trying to lead the witness. I'm just asking for your general thoughts and sentiment on that.
I don't think the number's the problem. I think the use might be the problem, or the lack of upfrontness, lack of transparency. You tell a lot of desperate people, oh, just bet $5 and you might get 600. Not letting them know that regardless of if they win or lose, I'm making 400 out of that 1,000, just to stay with those easy numbers for discussion's sake. I might be seeming to be doing you a favor, or that I'm, you know what I mean?
As the beneficiary of $600.
Exactly.
You feel it's all through the perspective of that person.
And even if that someone wins 600, I'm still winning 4.
Right.
Without any dice rolling, without any chance. That's what 66% is 2/3 of what the prize is. Every single time.
What do you think the current lottery is?
I don't fucking know.
63% goes to the winner, and 37% on average goes to the government.
And that's before taxes.
Right. Yeah. That's
like right off the top when you win.
If you had $1 billion lottery and only one winner won, you got gross $600 million as the winner, and the government got $400 million to spend on however they see fit. I mean, there are different ideas on how it's supposed to be spent, and it varies by state. But
at the end of the year, you're still paying taxes on that.
Right. You're going to pay taxes, so the government also gets its additional chunk. Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. But it was interesting to hear that in your example, the government took 40%, and I think that was coming from like.
Well, it wasn't the government. That was
the racketeering stuff.
Right.
Excuse me. That's what I was thinking of.
The mob boss took 40%.
The mob boss took 40%. Well, the government's not much better. They're taking 37%.
Right. So it's still the same.
Oh, and then they
number.
get taxes. I'm sure the mob doesn't tax it.
Well,
people. You just have to survive if you want
to say that you
get through.
You get taxed with your body in the river.
Don't fuck up.
Don't fuck up, bro. Yeah, that's why I don't gamble. Other than this here lottery ticket, but that was more for tonight than it was actually gambling.
Sure. So we touched on that notion of like taking people from rags to riches and taxation. And one of the thoughts that I had was I saw something that was like, or I've heard this term a lot where people say that the lottery is a tax on the poor, just due to the demographic of people who spend the most money on the lottery.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The lowest income demographics spend about $415 a year on lottery tickets compared to those in the higher income tax brackets who spend about $100. So we'll call it 4.5 times. 4.5 times the amount goes towards lottery spending from, well, just generally speaking, the poor people.
It's perceived value, though.
What do you mean it's perceived value?
Because if I'm poor and I can't imagine a way out and I need a Hail Mary, I'm going to throw money at that Hail Mary. Where if you are a little bit more well off and content and happy and you're not desperate or need that Hail Mary, or that Hail Mary isn't that attractive. I mean, I would say you and I are both comfortable and not desperate financially. So this is almost a joke. Like, ha, I bought a lottery ticket, man. Hey, maybe I'll be a billionaire tomorrow. Who knows? Not really thinking much into it. But
Right.
for someone who doesn't know how to make their life any different, all right, please, I'm hoping, you know what I mean? There's a totally different energy and perspective to it.
You might be a Christian, but you're also talking to Yahweh and Allah and Buddha and whoever
And
you can to
anyone,
get
Tom
that.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
That was a quote from one of the Will Ferrell movies. Help me, Allah. Help me, Jewish God. Help me, Tom Cruise.
What is that from? I
Can't remember.
That's going to bug me. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think people see that as a way out, just in a similar vein that you'll hear people turn to selling drugs or something to kind of get out of those hard times and those
Right.
hard areas. And if that's what you've seen your mom and dad and your grandfather do, is they go buy lottery tickets, then it also kind of becomes that tradition. I struggle with the concept that it's a tax on the poor, though, because of the exact reason that it's not a tax. It's very voluntary. So, like, you don't have to spend your money on this. It's nice for everybody else, the collective, I suppose, that so many people are willing to buy lottery tickets because it does help education systems. And they even, I thought this was kind of funny because of the irony here, but about $20 million last year went to helping gambling addicts get over their habits. And it's like, those are the people that you want playing the lottery.
Yeah, that's interesting. We made so much money. Let's try to fix our greatest customer base.
Yep.
That's some weird ethical waters. Like,
Yeah,
it's
for them
good,
putting some money in there.
but damn, like they must be so confident in their business model.
Yeah, they're not worried about it.
Let's cut off the 10% that it's not even healthy for, and we'll still be good. Oof.
Remarkable. Well done. Well done.
That makes me more concerned about the lottery than I ever have been. Because if they're that confident that they can...
They're crushing it. Well, it goes back. It's all guarantees. They've got a guaranteed
That's true.
40% ballpark that they get to collect, and then the taxes on top of that. Yeah, so it's an awesome scheme, but I think it's got inherent value. And as somebody, this isn't like a pointed thought at anybody who plays the lottery, because I think it's fun. I think that there are a lot of reasons to play the lottery. Even like family time, you just sit around and like whenever the Powerball numbers are being drawn, I remember seeing that on TV. Not that my parents played it a lot, but I can kind of envision that weekly thing that you do with your family, and it's just a little bit of fun for $2.
Right.
Pretty cheap entertainment. And I already forgot where I was going with that. But
Value in lottery.
but it was about like the taxation part. I like that it's voluntary.
Yeah.
Like nobody's forcing your hand. It goes to contribute to running different programs that still need to be run.
So sure, it's voluntary, but let's devil's advocate this. It's voluntary, but it's sold as a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, just for a couple of bucks, you can have your life be different. You can live like Hollywood. You can go buy crazy houses and a yacht and a jet, and you will never run out of money. They don't say that, but that's the thought I have when I'm thinking, man, if I won the lottery, You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I think people get trapped, me included, is that whenever I have those, I talked about like driving down the road and I'm thinking about the lottery, it's all a singular event. Like it's all about me. And it's like when I win the lottery, or when you're talking, it's when you win the lottery. But what you don't realize is that there are another 300 million people that have to have that exact same thought for just one person to walk away the winner.
Right. And your odds, of actually winning, it's 1 in not a lot.
292 million.
Shit. So if I bought 292 million lottery tickets,
you're likely to win.
Yeah, because that still is not perfect.
Yeah, so I've gone down that thought process too, because I was like, okay, so let's just call it an even 300 million, 1 in 300 million odds. At $2 a ticket, what if you just spent $600 million and won the $1 billion jackpot or something? Well, you get taxed, so you're already breaking even, and then you're also running the risk that somebody else also wins with you, or 4 people win with you. So there's not really a way to rig it in that sense.
Yeah, unless you know how to do some next level manipulating the little power balls so that they're heavier or lighter or whatever. And but I'm not that smart or care enough. And if I had that level of smarts and resources, I'd go do something else other than rig the lottery.
But like my thought was, if you're Bill Gates or somebody with billions of dollars, and if you lost $200 million, yeah, it would suck, but you'd be all right, you know?
It was a Tuesday.
Right. Anytime that lottery gets past, let's call it 1.2 billion, you pretty much have a guaranteed break even at least, assuming that, 4 other people don't win at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't math that well to follow that. Just being honest.
Well, we don't have to get into it.
No, let's try.
Okay, so so if there are 292,201,338 different combinations of how you can arrange those 6 numbers for Powerball, then you just buy 1 ticket with every single combination. 1 ticket of 1111111, or I guess it'd be 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Right.
And so on, right? And then you're guaranteed to be a winner of the lottery. Maybe not the winner, but a winner.
Got it.
So, just for round numbers, we'll call it 300 million different combinations. So you'd have to buy 300 million lottery tickets, $2 a pop. That's $600 million that you have to spend to guarantee that you're going to be a winner.
And so those numbers, when they're given to you, they're not written off and nobody else has them. It just means you have them.
You have them, and Tony Skinner might also have the winning combination as well. So, but if it gets to like 1.2 billion and maybe it's 1.6 billion, I don't know what the break-even point would be, but if it's 1.6 and you're splitting that 2 ways, then each of you get 800 million and you still have some profits. You also got to factor in taxes and stuff, but like, there's a threshold where it becomes almost like if you have that much capital, you can go just guarantee you're winning.
Yeah, but if I have that much capital, I'm in circles where I know how to make that much money easier without having to make a public display of it.
Sure.
And I think that is sometimes wildly more valuable than anything else. Because how outraged would people be when Bill Gates wins the lottery? Like, people would rage quit, man.
Would you, though? I'd be like, thanks for the $400 million donation to some of the government programs.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, I think my conspiracy mind would just break and go, everything's fucking rigged.
It'd be so rigged. Yes. Uh-huh.
Like, I don't.
But in theory, they could do that.
In theory, they could do that.
Which is crazy.
But I'm glad they don't. And maybe they do play the lottery and just haven't won. Thank God. But shit, it's like we got people out here protesting for, it'd be the lottery protests.
We're just trying to get rid of our medical bills.
Dude, you're absolutely right. But I hope that doesn't happen.
I don't think it will. I think we're safe.
Because I like the lottery as is being an illusion of hope. And I think if somebody who was already a billionaire like Bezos or Gates won the fucking lottery, it doesn't matter.
You just throw in the towel.
Just don't matter. I'm out. I'm done. Fuck it.
Find the closest projects. This is what it's come to.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah, crazy. So what you mentioned like you wouldn't want to make a public display of that. What about your personal thoughts on that? Like, I know that you've talked about this before.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I've got this shit planned the fuck out.
What's the plan?
Nobody would know. I wouldn't tell anybody. So you go, depending on the state that you're in, they have different laws on it having to be public, and there's still ways around that. You just go get a blind trust and have the trust. You sign the ticket over to the trust, and then you have somebody in the name of the trust, not you, go turn it in, and then you control all the money. You just don't own it, and then people don't know, and there's a level of distance from you, which helps because then the whole fucking nation isn't calling you up with great ideas. And let's be honest, I've never been in a position to know what a great Shark Tank idea is, or to know the flaws in a plan to say this is going to fall and be a waste of a couple $100,000 or a few $1 million. You get to avoid all of that by setting that up. That's one of the biggest things. The second thing is I go find a bunch of people like an estate lawyer, financial planners, a tax team, a gatekeeper, and that gatekeeper can be any one of those people or a different person. It's when your friends and family find out eventually, Tony, I got this great idea. Hey, you know what, man? You got to talk to my accountant. I don't really handle any of the money. I know it's mine, but they're the one in charge of all that. You got to talk to my accountant. That way I keep my relationship with people and I don't have to, oh, damn it, Aunt Sally wants more money for her crazy whatever. That's been failing, and I've been funding it for the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way you keep your shit and you don't tell anybody. You don't make all these huge purchases. You make your money start working for you. Even if it is hundreds of millions of dollars, you can piss through that. There's been so many stories of people who win the lottery and within 2 to 5 years it's gone, and then you're more miserable. And I had an uncle who didn't win the lottery but had a really nice stake in a business that he had built up and then sold it, paid out in millions. And then because he was so used to getting big checks in the mail from a business that no longer was doing that, your mind is conditioned. Oh, I'm just going to get another paycheck, or this money's never going to run out. Well, eventually it did, because he didn't know how to create money with his money. And now he's as broke as the next guy. From building your huge dream house and owning all these crazy things and your dreams literally coming true just to have them ripped away from you. Like, fuck that noise. So I watch stories like that. I watch other lottery stories and go, if I ever get a windfall, this motherfucker is going to be prepared.
Yeah, I think you have to have that mindset if you end up being a lottery winner. Just because everybody hears these stories. I don't know how common it actually is, but it's common enough that you can find many different examples of how lotteries have ruined people's lives.
Right.
And it seems that it happens in so many different ways, whether it's like jealousy from people that you know or your family even. And like there have been examples of murders that have happened as a result of lottery winnings. Or all the way down to the effect that it has on all the people around you that are your friends and that want something from you, and your friendship turns into exactly what you described. Your grandma coming to you and saying, hey, I've got this idea. I need some money for that. And when people know that you have money, they feel like you owe them something.
Well, especially when it came through a windfall like this, because you didn't earn it.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you say I don't have a right to it? Well, Grandma, you didn't pull the ticket that I did. Sorry, I have more right to it. And that sounds shitty to say, but it's easier to have that same conversation when I've built an empire and I blood, sweat, and tears and the sacrifices I made, this is mine. It's easier to receive that on the receiving end of it.
Right, because it's a very clear example of how tangible the work that you put into something was. And you're just enjoying the fruits of your labor when it's a business.
Right.
When it's a lottery ticket, it's like you took a $2 risk. Now, and I think that's where people get kind of caught up in that. Now, you might say that grandma, over the course of 40 years, has spent $2,000 playing the lottery, and you bought your second ticket and won. And so it's like, well, maybe you owe grandma some. But that's also just not the right answer. It's
Right.
just not how the setup works. But I do think that there's some level of compassion that can come out of that.
Sure, of course.
If you have $100 million, it's not to say that you go and spend it frivolously by any means, but you don't need $100 million to live. And if grandma needs, I don't know, $20,000 for her heart transplant,
Well, here's
you can part from that.
here's how I get away from that though, because it's one heart surgery, it's one car, it's one house payment. Before you know it, there's a habit and a pattern. So to avoid that, and then after you've said yes 6 times, it's hard to say no on time number 7. So the way I've thought to get around that is if you have $100 million, you know what? Let me take $3 million and put it in a trust for mom and dad. And at that level, it's not hard to get, 5 to 10% on your money.
Right.
Guess what, mom and dad? You now have it set up to pay out for 6 figures. You now make $100,000 a year indefinitely. Now you never have to ask me for another penny. You're set up and done. And you set it up in a way that they can't piss through their money. They're still used to the system they're used to of I get money every 2 weeks. And if they want to grow that, they can. They can take that money that they get and invest and grow and whatever. But they're now set. And you do the same for your grandma
They
or
can also
whoever you
continue
want to.
working if they need to.
Exactly. But that way it eliminates you from the I have to do this awkward exchange. You're right. Who am I to say no, I shouldn't help you because you're family? But I feel like in these situations, people leverage that family card too hard.
I think so too. I think that people will try to guilt you into it and think that it all goes back to like, do you owe people for what you have?
Right.
And I think the general answer is no.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's a version of, okay, mom and dad, you fed me and put a house over my roof, put a roof over my head for 18-ish years. Maybe there's a little bit of owe there. But beyond that, I've lived my life. Here I am doing me. I don't really owe anybody nothing.
Yeah. So on the flip side, we talked a lot about like what people do with their money when they win. What's the government do? Where does this money go to?
I didn't look at that angle at all. Did you?
So, well, I did a little bit. The whole idea was that it's supposed to fund education.
Okay.
It turns out that it funds a number of things. So you can go look online and find out where all of it goes. But for example, $20 million went to helping gambling addicts get over their problems. What I thought was interesting, though, was I was looking at North Carolina when North Carolina accepted the lottery, and they have to kind of pass a bill and it has to go through legislation. Let's see, where was it? So in the bill, it was phrased, needs to go to additional funding for education. So like all of the profits that the state of North Carolina makes needs to go to additional funding for education. Well, they changed it at the very last minute to it's at the discretion of the state legislatures. So basically they can spend it on schools however they see fit. What they ended up doing, everybody goes into that thinking, great, we're going to be able to spend more money per student to ensure that kids are having a better education. The reality was that it became a way to pay for the current programs.
Oh, shit.
Education. And so, like, when you play the education game, it sounds like it's going to a good place, and the intent was that it would be. But it turns out that they've actually started spending less on kids' education.
Because the lottery was funding that same budget.
That's right.
Now, you take the soul out of that. That's pretty fucking smart.
So now the state of North Carolina is like, great, we have a fully funded education budget. It's, the same or a little bit less than what it was, but we can use all of the money all of the tax dollars that we were putting towards education on whatever else we want. And that might be making sure that you got a nice historic home district in Raleigh.
And while that's a version of important, we took it from the kids. Like, holy
and the
shit.
Future generations.
To preserve the past generations. Like, hold up, there's something wrong here.
So, and that was not the only example. There were they had broke down state by state. I think it was 44 states have a lottery. I could be wrong on that number. But they break it down state by state, and it turns out that the majority of states did something similar.
Damn.
Where they're using it to fund education, yes, but not to give additional funding to education. I was like, that's so fucked.
Hey guys, how do we make more money? Well, let's do the lottery. Yeah, but we need to sell it to everyone else. What if we say the lottery covers education and the money we take from lottery will be for the kids? Fuck yeah, I love that. Hold up. Now, what we're not going to tell people is the money we were putting to the kids, lotteries are going to pay for that. Now we get extra money. Dude, I really like that. Can we do that tomorrow? And there we go. We have lottery. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Because they changed the bill right at the last second in North Carolina's case.
Yeah.
Here's one. North Carolina's lottery revenue increased to $23 million in 2010. It increased by $23 million in 2010. And the state's education spending was slashed by $2.3 billion.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
So you need to have like the government be involved if you do lottery?
What do you mean?
Like we can't just set up our own lottery, right?
Well, that's what you said was racketeering, right?
Damn it, you're right.
So, and racketeering is just legal across the board? Or illegal, excuse me?
Yeah.
That's lame. So why, though? Like, doesn't that just kind of... I can understand why, first of all. I don't need to ask that question. But if we're okay with a state-sponsored lottery...
That was so funny watching your conscience be like, hold up, Nick.
But if we're okay with a state-sponsored lottery...
Yeah,
as long as a private lottery is guaranteeing the payout and it's not a scheme, if you will, like they're not just stealing money.
I think it's just a version of regulation and governmental control because there's a potential for a lot of money.
Because they demonstrated that they're really honest, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we see with a lot of these things that we've dug into over the episodes, a lot of times the government just keeps things only legal for them to do because it makes it not viable for others.
Right. Who else has a nice, easy, guaranteed 40% margin?
The Indians for the casinos.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But even that, they can only be built in certain areas. They're not just everywhere. They have to be on reservations and stuff.
And so the states have to legalize it as well. So it's kind of up to the individual states. But yeah, interesting. I just thought that was crazy that that's how the cards actually fell whenever the time came to pass the bills for lottery and ratify it.
Part of me is surprised, but most of me is not at all. Right. Like I'm surprised at this new information, but then I put it through the filters of, just how I see the world and what I know. I go, yeah, that checks out. That seems about right.
Another question that's on my mind is, what does winning the lottery do to your life meaning? Like, I think so many people get wrapped up in whatever their profession is because they have to do it for 40 years before they retire, if they're even fortunate enough to be able to retire. And in a way, your career becomes your identity. And not so much that it's like your only identity. Like if you're a manager at a retail store or something, you might not feel so passionate about your job. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you would, like, you wake up the next morning thinking, well, what do I do?
Well, I think you've got a year or two or period of time, right? I just assume it'd be a year or two of travel, like, of exploration, of building or buying your dream house and setting up your dream life. But at some point, you're creating this new life for just yourself is going to be established. And that's where your question kicks in, is what does the purpose or what is that intrinsic value of my life be anymore? Because now I don't have to waste all this time working for money that I have to pay my bills to keep surviving. Well, shit, I don't know. And I think as a culture, we're not great at thinking about or living in that reality. I think you see people who do a good job of it, like fucking Elon Musk. He doesn't give a shit about his money. I think 2 weeks ago, he became the richest man in the world and surpassed Bezos. And someone let him know, and he tweeted, it's like, huh, weird, back to work. He doesn't care about the money. He's focused on the value and his purpose.
Right. And so that's where I think your businesswomen and businessmen that make it to that level of fuck you money, if you will.
Right.
When you get $1 billion or even tens of millions, you can come to the conclusion that, yeah, I've got enough money that I don't need to work for the rest of my life, and I can, pay for myself, pay for my children and my next 3 generations, and we're all set. But that person that's achieved that level of success has almost always put in the time, blood, sweat, and tears, and their identity is associated with whatever they've created.
Right.
And so they continue doing that. If you're Elon Musk and you own Tesla, Tesla is Elon Musk in that sense.
Right.
But it goes back to, like, if you're a retail manager, you didn't build Walmart, you didn't build Best Buy.
2 weeks maybe.
You're not going to have that same sense of passion and pride, more than likely. Some people probably do, but generally speaking, that's not going to be the case. And so that's where I think it kind of falls back on the human psychology, where we've grown into this mindset where you wake up and your sense of purpose is survival in some sense. Thousands of years ago, it was quite literal, like survival. Like, I need to get up, the sun comes up, I go and get my food and my water for the day and make sure that our hut is set up appropriately. There are no leaks. We're not going to be cold. And then it's bedtime. We got a bunch of firewood, and then it's bedtime, right? And in today's world, it's kind of similar, but it's just the means to survival is to obtain money. And
it's much more streamlined.
So we're all going to work, and then we get to spend that money however we want. And you get luxuries, you get your necessities, your home, your food, etc. If you can break that, and now you've got all of the survival without having to put any work into it, and you don't have that passion project, I think that's where people just kind of fall off the rails, and they don't know how to guide themselves throughout their life and navigate the last few years that they have.
Well, I think it's that mindset, right? You can still work towards whatever it is if you've discovered your passion, or some people might call it your purpose for this life, and work towards that in your small amount of time compared to, and maybe that lines up with what you're doing in your day job or how you get money. But for people who don't have that lined up and they have to do it outside of those hours, they can do that. But a lot of people haven't even taken the time to dig in and find out what that passion is, or what that purpose or project or whatever. So when they have that life-changing lottery, it has the potential to be wildly overwhelming and a very challenging place. And you're probably thinking, Tony, winning the lottery is challenging? What the fuck are you talking about? Because sometimes it's hard enough to try to dig in and work through your own shit to see what's at the core of who you are. But when you have unlimited funds to distract yourself from that hard work that throwing money at doesn't fix, that's hella challenging, because now I don't have any sort of struggle. I have all versions of escape at my fingertips. And now it can be that much harder to dig in and do the work. Now, you have all the resources to help you get there as quick as you want to go, but you still got to dig in and figure out and do that soul searching. And I think most people are terrified of looking inside.
I think you're right. I think it's the culture of today, generally speaking. Yeah, and you're spot on that people kind of find that position. There's so many times where I've read stories about people who would say that they wish they had never won the lottery because it's pulled apart families. It's resulted in murders like we talked about. And that's the sad part, is that if you're too public with it, it can really ruin your life. I love the trust fund idea. I think that's a great way to navigate that. And I think you just have to be smart with it. Like, you don't have to go claim the money right then and there. I know that would be so hard not to.
Right.
But you can be smart. You can think about how you would set that up and structure the rest of your life knowing that you've got this level of money. And I think you've got a year to claim.
Yeah, I don't know the exact time frame, but there's no rush. You know, it's take your fucking time, get your team of people in, and not just the first people you call. Make sure you vibe with them, make sure you can trust them, feel them out, have people you trust check them out too, so that, because they're going to see a different side than you are with being the ticket holder, and obviously they're going to try to sell you whatever because they want your business. You know, you got to find that right people that can trust you, or that you can trust. Because I'll be honest, man, I win this fucking lottery. I don't know how to handle that amount of money. I've never handled that money before. Well, let's go find some people who know how to handle that kind of money, or at least have a better idea, who can teach me how to do it until I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I think that's such a different mindset than most people have thinking about the lottery. Oh, yeah, I'll get some people to help me. But, man, I'm buying this house, and I'm going to get these 2 cars, and I'm going to buy my mom this, and I'm going to buy that. Before you know it, right off the top, you've spent a couple million or more. And if you think about it, this is seed money. Like, you're eating your seed. You got to go plant that shit. Go put it to work. Make sure it's bringing you more money for the rest of your life, and then go spend the rest of that. But we're not conditioned to do that, because if we were, then our whole system doesn't work.
Right. And if you lived paycheck to paycheck, then that's the relief that you needed, and you're used to spending everything that you get out of that paycheck.
Right.
I feel like it would be the same if you don't make a conscious decision about it.
Yeah, and I think that's where people, if they haven't had the opportunity to think about this ahead of time, and who plans to win the lottery and actually knows they're going to. I mean,
besides you and me.
Yes, besides you and me. Bro, how fucking crazy would that be? I buy these lottery tickets almost as a joke. We sit here talking about it. Tomorrow, win the fucking drawing. And I'm like, shit, Nick said we planned it and we were going to do it. And here we are. And everyone would be like, yep, we're listening to this podcast forever. Next week, we're going to release the winning lottery numbers so you can win the lottery.
Tony's got a 50% success rate at winning.
Hey, I would never play the lottery again.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't either.
Because
just ride high, keep your chin up.
Yeah, 50%. Ride that shit.
Hell yeah, man.
I got off track at how crazy would that be. I don't remember what I was saying.
I think we were just kind of in between convos. But that more or less concludes everything that I had come into. I think the lottery is interesting. I think it's got a lot of pros. I think it's all pros if you make it what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
It's only cons if you don't have the right plan and the right mindset.
Well, I think the other con, too, is maybe the oversold savior aspect of it for the people buying the ticket. I know I'm in enough headspace to understand the reality that the percentage chance that we're going to pull these numbers tomorrow is so impossible. I'm open to it, but I'm not expecting it. I'm not glued to this being my fix of my situation. But I feel like you said, for people with lower income, I don't think that's the perspective.
So here's my question then. Where did this idea come from that the lottery is going to change my life? If you're a chronic lottery player who, I think, first of all, I think it's okay to be a chronic lottery player.
Sure.
I think you can spend your money how you see fit, and if it's your form of entertainment, playing the lottery is fun. Just like playing Xbox is fun, or whatever else you do for entertainment. But you have to make sure that it's within your budget, right? You can't spend your grocery money. You can't spend your rent money on 2 more lottery tickets. You can't cut into that. So my question is, where do you think that idea that I'm going to play the lottery and that's going to be my ticket out comes from? Do you think it's like they don't know the odds?
I think it's maybe that, and I think it's also probably whatever the psychology is behind gambling. I need to get out. I need to do something. Let me take my paycheck to the casino or, to the lottery and spend it all on tickets so that I can change my whatever. Obviously, you and I know, and hopefully everyone listening knows that that's kind of irrational, and you're making a bet, and it might fail, But when you're in that desperate place, like I don't know, it's like cigarettes when we thought they were healthy, or at least that's what the doctors told us.
Right.
You're pregnant, you should smoke. You seen those ads and shit?
Oh yeah.
Holy fuck. And now we know differently, and I just don't know if maybe it does say on the back of here, but I'm not going to read it. But just think about
government warnings, just like they put pictures of people's lungs and stuff on cigarette boxes.
I think that, and sure, that says play responsibly, but it's like
anything.
Drink responsibly on my alcohol. Sure, cool. You put that legally so I can't sue you, but you didn't put something here to educate me so I don't fuck myself in the process.
Right.
That's the only other, I think, gray area that's there, or maybe con to the lottery, is that there's not enough warnings on it of this will not save your life. Don't look at it as a flotation
or at least
device.
Don't count on it. It might, but it's not. Let's be real.
That's kind of the only other perspective that I got on there. But then otherwise, I agree with you. I think it's all got perks to it, other than the shitty education funding swapping we talked about earlier. The idea behind the lottery, I think, is great.
Yeah, the funding swapping isn't a lottery flaw. That's a whole nother ball game. Last question for you, man.
Okay.
Lump sum?
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I would definitely do the lump sum thing because you're in more control of it, and I feel like the research and the preparation I've done sets me up in a better place to put it to work and get other people to put it to work. Whereas with the annuity over 20, 30 years, I feel like I'm a pretty smart individual who can learn things pretty quick. Before 20 years is up, I'm going to learn how to handle money, and I'm going to be pissed that all my money's locked behind some gate that I can't get to it and put it to work. Now, if you're really bad with money, the annuity's fucking great. But
so your thought process is take that 30 to 40% hit up front.
Because I can make it back over 20 years.
Take the lump sum, invest it, you'll get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you? You the same
Oh,
thing?
no, I'm spot on with you. Find a way to invest it, grow it. I mean, this has been a historic year, both good and bad in terms of like investments and the general performance. But most investments are at like an all-time high right now. And so if you just look at this, people's funds, a very typical fund is a 20 to 25, 30% gain over the course of 2020. And that is absurd.
It is.
Normally you might expect like 4 to 8, somewhere in that range. But at 4 to 8%, you're going to make your lump sum money back in 5 years.
Yep. Which and that's just in 5, not even considering the extra 15 to 25 years after that, if you have the patience and discipline to not just piss it all away.
That's right.
So I think you got to kind of factor in who you are as an individual. And I think bigger than the lottery, I think money and funds just give you opportunity to showcase who you are on a bigger scale. If you're willing to do that soul searching and find your purpose and make your purpose or passion happen, all the money in the world is just going to help you do that better.
Sure.
If you are someone who is unwilling or afraid to look at that, all the money in the world is just going to make you not look at that even harder.
Yeah, I think it kind of takes you down the path of nihilism where life doesn't have enough meaning. And so you have to uncover that.
And when you remove all the struggle because you've got all the money in the world. Shit.
That's when you're spending it all on hookers and blow.
Exactly. And you know what? To each their own. Not my jam, but to each their own.
Go get them, Tiger.
I think we're at 57 minutes, and that's the fun fun little nugget. They fast forward to hookers and blow.
So if you made it this far, congratulations.
True that.
Hope that you too enjoy some hookers and blow. Or not. The choice is yours. It's all a matter of if you win the lottery or not.
This just took a really weird turn. We'll catch you guys next week on Modern Day Apocrypha. Who knows what the fuck we're going to talk about.
Peace out.